Hello, welcome to Fresh to Death Comics, the podcast. I am your host, B. Luke. I have Amy with us. Hello, Amy.
Hello, everybody. I am tired.
We, we just got done with Terrificon this year.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
This is going to be just about Terrificon. So this is going to be about comic. We have some news. We have interviews. We have so many stories. Fun facts as well. Like, for example, did you know Connecticut's people, Connecticuters, as I like to call them?
People from Connecticut.
People from Connecticut, their actual name are nutmeggers.
Yes.
That is a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
So we are going to jump. We have so many fun facts, so many stories to talk about. So let's just break it down. We'll break it down by days. We'll tell you about our overall experience. And I am excited, but also a little angry. We'll talk about that later. Some bad shit happened during this con.
Yeah.
The police were involved. I got assaulted. So that will be later on. We'll talk about that because that's a Sunday thing.
That is a Sunday thing. But let's start with Friday.
So Friday. Let's start with Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday, I'm getting older. It's hard to go nonstop. Like driving down the day of a con and driving like 10 hours or however many hours, like midnight. We're going to get here at midnight. We're going to leave at midnight and be there in the morning for the con.
And then you go. Yeah.
And then
that sounds miserable to me.
I did that for Chicago. I know we talked about on one of the pods before. I did it for Chicago. I drove the whole way and like I was like sleeping in line. Like I was just so exhausted. I remember Jay Scott was doing at C2E2. He was doing sketches
Right.
for free for people.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "What do you want?" I was like, "Mary Jane." We're talking. He's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Honestly, I'm so happy to meet you, but I'm so tired. Like I've been driving nonstop. I'm from New York." And he goes, "I'm tired too." And then he left. And like nobody else got signatures or
was
drawing.
like, I'm
I
done.
stopped everything, and I feel like so bad, but also like this is a story.
Well, also, these artists and writers, they're people too. They're constantly going from con to con and traveling every weekend and every week. Like it gets exhausting for them too.
So from a con experience, I like to get down the night before. That way, if I've never been to the city before, I can get the lay of the land, what's going on. I can rest the night before and wake up refreshed and ready to con.
Which I will say I agree, that's been the best way to do things. Because just driving for us 5 hours through inclement weather also is exhausting. Especially when, you were running around for many hours beforehand trying to do things.
Well, I thought I had everything packed. It was great. And in the course of this, like I went to get gas for you and I lost your credit card.
Yeah, that was...
And then your cell phone broke. It was a whole, like, almost a shit show.
Oh, it was a fucking shit show.
At one point, I was like, are we even going to this convention? Because, like, this doesn't bode well. And the rain started pouring and, like, our directions all of a sudden, like, usually... Like, we just go straight. We go from Binghamton, we go to Poughkeepsie, and we go right through to Connecticut land. Mm-hmm. And then there's basically the convention. This time, the directions took us through Albany and Springfield, Massachusetts. Like, we went in this big, giant U.
Yeah, I don't know
how
why.
It happens.
I don't know why it happened either. My only guess is like we said, the inclement weather, the severe thunderstorms that were happening. That's my only guess.
Which I know my brother, he lives in Connecticut. I'm trying to think Hartford or somewhere around there. I know the exit is this number. Or one of these numbers.
7
it's
or
a low
8.
It's a low number in Connecticut. And like when it starts to rain, it comes it's like Noah's Ark. Like I remember driving my car once, we were going to Terrificon. And I thought my car was just going to float away because all of a sudden, like I could hear like the water was like at my tires, and I was like, we're just kind of sailing here for a second.
Gosh, you're just floating away.
Yeah, it was so scary, and it was terrifying. So I think I'd be happy that we went up this way, but at the same time, if I don't know, I don't know this way. I don't know the driving. I don't know where the cops are waiting.
Yeah,
So it's
where the
like it
speed
makes it a
traps
little
are.
more nerve wracking because you're just like,
Yeah.
I know what speed I'm going at, but if everybody knows that this is a speed trap land, the cops just catch you, whoever's coming through, then you're screwed because the laws only apply to, as long as you're in this script. So we got here.
Yes.
It was great. We enjoyed it. We had a fun night. We just rested.
Yes, which again, much needed at that point.
And so Friday we woke up. I was smart enough to get a handicap sticker because I was like with this wheelchair. I didn't want to bring the wheelchair. I know you keep on calling it a scooter,
Yeah.
but I guess I don't know what the difference is.
I think with the scooter, I think with the wheelchair, it's more being pushed or propelling yourselves by the wheels. This has a battery component to it, which and
So a wheelchair
I
is
think
a
the
human
handlebar.
aspect?
Well, you also have handlebars that you're like riding. It's like a moped kind of. That's so I would assume that because of that, it's more scooter like as opposed to wheelchair.
All right. So needless to say,
Yes.
I did not want to use the scooter dash wheelchair, and I did a video on TikTok, YouTube. Please watch it.
Yes.
It's kind of funny. I do. Can you go to Comic-Con with a broken foot? And I had.
What was the answer, Brian?
Well, I went into the day with a crutch, and we were able to find handicap parking on Friday pretty well.
Yes.
So I was able to park somewhere. So I was like, oh, this isn't a bad walk. I got this. I'm okay. And then we get to the line, and the line is a mile down to God knows where. And I said, there's no way I can walk this. Like, it's.
We ended up in the hotel lobby, which, by the way, I've never been into Mohegan Sun that way before.
So we talked to the security guard people, the Mohegan Sun security staff, and we explained to them. Well, you explained to them because I have a hard time with those metal detectors.
Yes.
And so you explained to the situation. They patted me down. We walked through. Everything was great. We walked from the front of the convention to the back of the convention. And by then, I am dying on my foot. I am not having a good time.
And not even a full lap.
No, I just made it down, and Amy's looking at me like, what are you doing, bud? How you doing? You ready to go? Come on. And I said, I can't. I'm hurting. The toes throbbing. I think you're right. Let's get the scooter wheelchair combination. So we got it, get back into convention, and we had a great time. You did an interview, Amy?
I did. I did do an interview. I did an interview with Russell Brettholtz, who wrote Sidekicks.
So the book is Sidekicks.
Okay.
It's about superhero sidekicks who get sick and tired of being disrespected by the heroes that they work for, so they go on strike.
Oh, such great timing.
I know, it
this
worked
week.
out really well.
Yeah.
And when the villains find out about the strike, they exploit the opportunity to rain
they
havoc
would.
down upon the city of Chicago.
Wow.
And this book collects the first 4-issue arc of the series, plus 2 11-page bonus stories. It's only $20, and for you, I will sign it for free, of course, because I wrote it. I am Russell Brettholtz. I'm the writer and co-creator of the book.
Oh, awesome.
My artist co-creator is Miguel Mendonça, who has been killing it at DC for the last 5 years or so.
Yes.
And there is a sequel now as well,
Okay.
which collects the 5-issue sequel series, which takes place after the strike has been resolved. But now aliens have invaded Chicago, and it's a little too much for the new team to handle.
Yeah.
And this is also a $20 book.
Okay.
But that is Sidekick.
All right.
And you who are watching this, you can go to the website catatomicstudios.com. That's catatomicstudios.com. You can get it off the website that way. Both of the volumes are on there.
Awesome. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've run into him a couple of times at Terrificon, and every time he has pitched us the idea of this book that he wrote where all the sidekicks, the superhero sidekicks, go on strike, which is very apt for right now, considering the actor and the writer's strike in Hollywood. And a lot of the actors that were there, speaking only about the strike. It was just kind of funny to have that in the perspective of the superhero world. Something so real that is clearly affecting us now that could affect us, in this reality where superheroes, live and help people.
So you did the interview, and I don't know. I'm scared to do interviews because when you put me on the spot, all of a sudden I forget everything this person has done. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll meet somebody and I'm like Phil Hester. I was like, you did Green Arrow, and then you did, and I can't remember. And yet I own everything. And now I can tell you now, he did like this shipwreck book. He's done. There was a Satan book. It was like Hell Flames and stuff. I forgot the name of it. But like I get into this moment, I just freak out, and I'm like, I'm not worthy enough to talk to these people. Like I get so in my head that like I can't. And we saw Peter Melnick, and he was like, dude, just do it, man. Like, have fun.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody. And all of a sudden, I'm in front of Ryan Ottley. I love Ryan Ottley's work. It was great in Invincible. He was great in... Like, I didn't know that Ryan Ottley did this book called Grizzly Shark. Like, it blows my mind. Like, because I think of him as just the artist, and I forget that, like, he also writes. And it just...
He's so multifaceted. He's more
So,
than one thing.
And I wanted to talk to him about Godball, because we talked on the show. I love Donny Cates. And when Ryan Ottley took over, it was a change, and I liked the change. It was like switching on from watching watching Alfred Hitchcock, and all of a sudden you're watching a Seth Rogen movie.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's a
just-
noticeable change.
It's a noble change, and not that it's bad in any way. Nothing is like it. It's great, and so
It's just different. It's a
just
different...
and that's what I love about comics is like everybody's story can be this. Like Donny Cates, I know what I'm getting is going to be dark and brooding, and I feel like I should just turn on my emo playlist and just go ham. With Ryan Ottley, it's everything I've read of his and done of his is more like it's just like an action adventure like book, not really creepy. And so I was so excited to talk to Ryan Ottley because I really did love Godball. I love the concept of it. I love everything with it. So Amy was like, Brian, let's do an interview. Is that okay, Mr. Ottley? And we did an interview with Ryan Ottley.
Yeah, we did.
So
Hello, guys. I'm here with the legendary Ryan Ottley, the creator of Godball. And I just have to know, how did this come to be?
Well, I mean, me and Donny Cates. So Donny Cates said, "Okay, Ryan, the next issue, it's all you. It's just Godball. Godball is a sport that the Hogs play, and they play with a core of a planet. So that's all the information I got, and I just got to run with it from there. And
So
so
you
I
come
got to
up
make
with
up
all
the
the
rules.
rules?
I got to make up I created other characters like Brutal, and there's a bunch of other ones in there. You know, like just even Harold, and just a bunch of random hosts that I created, and then just mixed into this story and just had a blast with it. So yeah,
Yeah, it was
And
terrific.
then
It was such a change of pace. It was so fun. I want to see
I had
more.
a lot of fun. I love those kind of things. Like one of my favorite, I love Hulk Planet. I'm sorry, Planet Hulk. That's one of my favorite Hulk books. Is Planet Hulk.
Okay.
So Hulk Planet, it's off-world alien stuff, alien Hulks. I mean, it was just a great time.
Now,
I had.
you've been doing comics for quite a while.
Yes,
Jump
indeed.
into doing writing, artist, and the inker. How was that for you? Like, was it a big accomplishment, or are you like, I can do this, I got
I
this?
think a younger me would have been freaked out, less confidence, But now, I've been doing this for 20 years. I write here and there, and so it's not that big a deal. It's fun. It's a fun challenge. You use a totally different part of your brain, so it's like, it's extremely fun.
Did
right?
you find the Marvel deadlines to be real?
No,
like,
it wasn't
time
bad.
crunch?
It wasn't bad. I mean, the book was getting pretty late anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
so
it's
yeah.
later.
But Donnie moved on to do other things, and so I had to finish off everything, finish off this series, just me, and
Well,
it
it
ended up
turned
being
out
fun.
terrific. I loved it. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I basically, I had to pick an antagonist, brought in Despair, and it just wanted to answer all the questions that I had,
Yeah.
And so I I just did it. Just
Yeah.
wrote it, finished it off, and it was actually really fun. And I'm definitely planning on doing more here and there. So at some point,
I look forward
whether
to
it's
it.
Marvel or Image or whatever. So yeah.
Are you more going to more Image since so many
So-
people have been jumping in, doing their own creator-owned books?
I mean, that's how I started. So I
I
started.
know you're Invincible, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
doing something like is Ryan Ottley, nobody else.
With me
Yeah,
on
just you, right? And
I mean,
drawing.
I've done that once. I did a book called Grizzly Shark. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh,
It's an insane.
That was you?
That was me. Yeah, yeah.
No way!
That was all me. That was just a sleep-deprived me, where
Oh my
I just
God.
wrote the most insane, weirdest shit I've ever done. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember looking at my buddy got it. He was like, "You look at this," and I was like, "This looks amazing."
It's insane. Yeah, it was. That was smack dab in the middle of when I was working on Invincible, and I was just doing the book for so long, and I was like, I was getting a little antsy. Like I need to do something else, and so this book, Grizzly Shark, was like. I spent like an hour, 2 hours on each page. I want to do something a little fast so I can fit it in here and there, at night after my Invincible pages were done. So,
Wow.
yeah, just a side book, and it was a lot of fun. But, I'll definitely go back around to it at some point to do that. But for now, I'm back at Image. So I worked at Marvel on Spider-Man and Hulk. Now I'm back at Image, and I'm working with a writer again because this idea is too good to pass up. So.
Can you tell us, or no?
No,
Is
of
it
course
secret?
not.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, it's not announced yet. Not announced.
All right.
Yet. Yeah.
Do we have a schedule of when it would be announced, or
I got nothing.
is it still in
I
the?
got nothing. We're still working on it right now, and we want to get some stuff done beforehand. So.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you so much for talking with
No
us.
problem. Thank you. Yeah.
I was so excited, but day got done. I was like, all right, we're good. Saturday comes. We find a parking spot. Well, technically, we made a parking
We
spot.
made a parking spot. Yeah, that's
Because-
better.
Making this wheelchair, getting into it, I need a little extra room in these little tiny parking spaces. So we kind of took like 2 parking spaces.
Yeah.
I found some security cones and just put them in the spot there.
Yeah.
And kind of made my little own one.
Yeah.
We got into the convention, and then it was like, I knew it was going to be busy, but this was the busiest it's ever
Yeah.
been. I feel like I could barely get around with the scooter, and I don't have depth perception, so people are trusting me way too much.
Yeah. A hundo.
Like I am gonna hurt somebody the way they were working. Like that's why I was jolting back and forth. 'Cause I was like, I feel like I'm gonna kill somebody.
Yep. Or if
Like-
somebody just thinks that they can just get in front of you real fast and you're just going to stop. Like,
And
nope.
also I have to swerve because a lot of people were like running into the foot.
Yep.
And so, like, because I had it out sometimes, and it was just, that was a whole thing. So, Artist Alley, all the vendors were off limits that day. We could not make it down to them.
No, we
It was
couldn't.
impossible. So, if you are in any kind of disability, you cannot go on a Saturday. Don't waste your time.
Yeah. It's,
Unless you really want to meet the famous Artist Alley people, or not artists. You can't even get to Artist Alley.
Yeah.
It's more of the artists, the guest stars
Yeah.
themselves, and then the celebrities
Yep.
are really your only best shot because it has the most area for you to do anything.
yeah, which was, I don't know. I don't know of a better way for them to organize the building.
What they need to do is do a cutoff with how many tickets they sell.
Yeah.
Because that's what Chicago does. Chicago is, hey, we're sold out on Saturday. You cannot have any more Saturday tickets. And they cut off the 3-day tickets, so you can't buy those anymore. So then you're forced to buy Friday and Saturday tickets. So he should make it that Saturday is a cap. This is how many people we can fit in here. And do it for the whole time, so that way it's not overloaded. But I know, like, the more people, the more money. And that means more guests we can get. Or
Well,
get
and
a bigger convention hall. Like, maybe he's outgrown
Maybe it's outgrown the Mohegan Sun.
maybe there's a bigger spot in the Mohegan Sun we can go.
Maybe.
Like, he's either outgrown it or he needs to cap it. That's really where we're at.
Right. I mean, it's a great facility, but I think it's almost gotten too big.
Yeah, it's an amazing con. I don't want to put it down because I love Terrificon.
Yeah.
But when you have so many people in there, you can barely move. You have people shoving, and like it's.
Yeah, there were
There was
some
times
people
I was
that
getting
were
scared.
Yeah, and there were some people that were kind of line wrangling, but for the most part, it was just kind of the Wild West of like, we're going to do whatever and stand in a blob and, not really get out of people's way, even though they are clearly trying to move.
So we stuck to just the edges because I was in the
That was
scooter
all we could
wheelchair.
move around in.
So
yeah.
we went down the artist alley, and we're like, all right, who should we see? Amy loves Sean Gunn,
Oh, yeah,
but his line was
it
outrageous.
was.
I really wanted to meet Jonathan Frakes,
His line was outrageous.
but also I saw his pricing, and
I went,
it was either meet him and meet nobody else,
yeah,
or meet other people like differently.
yes.
And so I decided on the meet other people because I feel like, hey guys, we went to Terrificon. I met Jonathan Frakes.
And
And
nobody
now we're
else.
talking about other things. Yeah.
Yeah, like we wouldn't have been able to talk to like Phil Hester and Amanda Connor and Jimmy and
Yeah, like, because all these artists cost money for signatures.
yes,
So it's not like.
except Amanda and Jimmy actually.
So Saturday starts, we're looking at people who we can get. Like, who should we talk to? Dan Fogler. His line was outrageous, but
Yeah.
also, like, I knew if I wanted to meet him, I wanted to wear, like, a weed shirt because
Yes,
he is a friend of the green.
he is a friend of the green.
So we planned it out. Like, I figured his line was going to be long, and it was.
It was.
I really wanted to meet Rebecca Romaine because Jerry O'Connell was there this
Yes. He was. I'm sad that I did not see him with my own eyes. I tried to, but it was a madhouse on Saturday.
weekend. So we were like, all right, you know what? Let's just wait in line for one of my favorite people they announced.
Yes.
Greg Sestero.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Mark. Like, I was like, if we're going to wait, I was like, if we're going to wait in line for anyone, like, let's just wait in line for Greg Sestero because I'm sure it's going to be long. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hi, Mark. Like, I love The Room.
And there's such a hardcore love of this movie, like
Yeah. And then-
diehard fans. It has just become a cult phenomenon at this point.
And then with the James Franco Seth Rogen movie they did,
Yes.
with his what's his name?
With Dave Franco?
With Dave Franco, yeah.
Yeah.
So with James Franco and Dave Franco,
Franco.
and Seth Rogen, like I figured there'd be so many people in line because that's the dude. Like that's the dude who Dave Franco was supposed to be.
Yes. It was just
So we saw this huge line, and I'm like, all right, Amy, let's figure out where the end is. And they're like, no, we're on the line for this. It was one of these
this
voice
other
actors.
voice actor.
And
Yeah.
I said, okay. And we asked this other person, we're like, where's Greg's sister? And there was no one in line.
No, like he
And
was
I
just
don't
like
understand it.
I don't either. Like he was like on his phone, and we started walking up to him. Like his assistant next to him was like, "Oh, we were watching you guys, and as you guys got closer and closer, your faces got happier and happier." And we were like, "Well, yeah, of course,
I'm like, it's you.
it's
like,
Mark." And, oh hi,
oh, hi, Mom.
oh hi, Mark.
And I guess that's a theme for this weekend is like making new memories. A person I was with hated The Room, hated The Disaster Artist. Like, I would be like, oh, Lisa, you're tearing me apart. And she would be like, don't say that. I hate that. And I'd be like, but you're tearing me apart, Lisa. And she'd be like, stop. And like, she would like get...
Yeah, and now you and I quote it to each other like every 2 days, essentially.
I love them. Like, The Room, if you haven't seen The Room by Tommy Wiseau, it is a movie that will change your life because it's a bad movie, but in a sense, it's the greatest movie.
Yes.
Like, Greg Sestero kind of saves it. He is the straight man to Tommy Wiseau's craziness. He's the Bud Albert to the Costello.
Yes.
The Hardy to the Laurel.
Yes.
Like it's so well done, and I don't think this movie gets enough credit. Like I know it does in the cult world, but it's so good. And he was there, and I was oh my god, I'm freaking out.
Freaking out, yeah, and
so Amy goes because I had a question for him because. I always have questions for people.
Well,
Amy said, Brian, don't ask the question. let's get it on the pod.
Hey guys, I'm here with Greg Sestero, and we are here. He's one of the stars of the room, and we are so excited to have him here. And I actually have a few questions.
Yeah.
For you. When Johnny went on tour for the Disaster Artist, he was on with James Franco.
Yeah.
He mentioned that he's not from New Orleans, that he is born in Europe. And I know he's always told everybody, "Oh, I'm an all-American boy." Is that the first time you had known about it, or had you known about it privately and just kept it a secret?
So yeah, no, I've known Tommy for quite some time, and no, he's always said he at some points he's lived in France. But to him, I feel like New Orleans represents where he feels most at home. So that's where the mystery is. We never know, and like the more I've talked to him, the more I interviewed him for the Disaster Artist, I've realized that the mystery is the fun part. So it's like I just go with New Orleans as where he feels his home is.
Do you talk to Tommy frequently now? Or?
Yeah, we just celebrated 25 years of meeting, so we still keep in touch. We still toss the football around.
You do?
Yeah.
Is that something that always happened on set? Like
We just got, that was something we did years ago. We played soccer, we played football. He likes to stay young, so we just stuff we did and then implemented it into the film.
So I was on ecstatic to do that interview. Like the fact that my life kind of is connected to the room in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, I want to
Like-
say I want to say we talked about a lot of things on first date. I want to say The Room was one of them.
I want to say that too because we talked about Gambino, we talked about
Community,
and then I want to say it was during darts you were winning, and I'm like, you're tearing me apart, Amy, and you were like, The Room, and I was like, yes, and you're like, I love that movie. I was like, yay. So like I just The Room is a special place in my heart, and the fact that Greg was so freaking nice, and he was like, yeah, Tommy let me be this character, and he let me explore a life of acting
yeah.
that Hollywood doesn't let me be in, and I thought that was amazing. So that we did that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to meet Amanda Connor.
Yes, because you were asking me on Friday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not ready. I don't know what to say." I could, because I felt like I was
having
just,
a panic attack in Artist Alley when you saw them.
I fucking was because I forget sometimes to check who cover artists are constantly. Because when we're picking up books and reading them for the rundown, sometimes we're just ripping through books real fast and we're just trying to get the basic gist. And, sometimes you don't always have the time to slow down and really absorb who's doing what. So I completely forgot about the fact that Amanda Connor had done a couple covers. Amanda and Jimmy, her husband, had done a couple covers for Harley Screws Up the DCU, which I've been talking about on the rundown for the DC show. So it was just kind of this full circle kind of moment, it felt like, where I'm like, wow, I've looked at this. Like, I remember reading this in my house, and now I'm meeting you. You created this thing that I'm holding in my hands. Like, it just kind of freaked me out for a minute to be this close to the people that we're actively talking about on the show,
And I think it's so interesting from my perspective because before the brain injury, this Christian life that I was living, it was very much like gender norms. Women belong in the kitchen. They belong cooking my food, and they need to be like my backbone assistant. I need to do all the work so they can stay home. Like that's a woman's place.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my core values. And since then, I like to believe I've evolved. And so,
more or less, yeah.
I want to believe I keep on changing, and I'm not this person like women. And I reading these books by the strong female creators like Amanda Connors, like Kelly Thompson, like Peach Momoko.
Yeah.
I'm learning more, and I'm kind of like, oh, interesting, because like when men write for women and tell stories, I can go like, oh, I get that. I like what they did. But when a woman does it, it just feels different. Like, because the way they'll write the woman compared to the man, because the man always looks good. But like when Amanda Connor does it, like when she does the Harley and Joker stories, Joker's just an asshole the whole time.
Yeah, she really
And
showcases.
Harley, yeah, and so that's how her books are. And so I had this question, and Amy goes, "Will you interview them for me, please?"
I didn't say it like that. I just asked.
That's
would you
how
like-
it was in my head.
That's not how it was in real life. I was just like, hey, do you want to ask them for the pod? And you turned around and then asked them if it would be okay. And they said yes.
Hey guys, I'm here with Amanda Connor. Thank you so much. I just had a couple of questions. I've gone through a real weird life where I was very conservative, and your books of women being positive role models. I hated your books. I was like, this is terrible. And I had a brain injury. And I've kind of rethought the way I look at people and things. And now I look at your book and I'm like, you're just giving positive identity to women that they can also do things.
Oh, all right.
So
Yeah.
my question is, how do you deal with fans who are on that side? Because I feel like you get bombarded all the time with like, how this Joker, you write him as an asshole in these books. And I'm like, he's not, he's great. How dare you?
Well, here's the funny thing is I'm on social media, but I'm really, really terrible at it. So I tend to ignore it most of the time. So I don't really see it. And if it doesn't bother me if I'm not looking, if I'm not getting bombarded by it.
Yeah, if
I'm getting bombarded by it, I don't know it.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I just reading it over again has totally changed my life.
yeah.
Like,
I'm so glad that you just finally started enjoying it. That's great.
So we were just looking through books, and I was like, "This is great." So,
I'm glad you like it. Thank you so much.
thank you for taking the time. I know you're.
Oh, no
very busy.
problem. No problem.
I interviewed them and I talked to them, and I got nervous because like I wanted to explain my question because of like I just said, that's the way I viewed women.
Yeah, you
And
had
so-
to give her context to your question.
Because otherwise it would make me sound like I hated her and like how's she doing this. So I wanted to give her context, like of someone who's changed, who can look at women as this equal. I always think of you as equal, but like you can do anything I can do.
Yeah.
Like these gender norms that we've adapted are stupid and we shouldn't have them.
Yes.
Anything I can do, you can do just as well.
Correct.
If not better, let's be honest.
There's I don't know if you've ever heard anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
From Annie Oakley or Annie Get Your Gun.
Yeah, I always thought about like that was the song for men. Anything you can do, I can do better. I
Yep.
always thought of like that was like the guys telling the women like, here's your place. Anything you can do, I can do better. Because look at sports. Look at all these like, I guess sports is the best example where they go, look at they're the best. Men are better at everything.
Except for the men's soccer team.
We David Beckham.
That's the UK. Oh my God.
I don't know anything about this. I just know David Beckham is this. We're getting off topic. We got a lot.
You
to talk
brought
about
up
Terrificon.
sports, yeah.
I did. After we met Amanda Connor, it became like I was trying to get other people. There's a few people like who most people are charging for signatures, which sucks. So no, when you go, don't bring your whole collection unless you're looking to spend
Like $50 to $60 on signatures alone.
Yeah, like it can get expensive. So
And they're
knew-
dividing it between like majors and minors too, where it's kind of getting nitpicky about if these are major issues or if you're getting it CGC'd. Like there's all different kinds of rates.
Yeah, like you have to know what book you have. So if your friend says, "Hey, get this signed for me," like you might be asking for $100 signature.
Exactly.
Because that's how Garth Ennis was for like the Preacher books were this price. And,
Yeah, some of his number ones. Yeah.
like they were all like it was like you got to know what the books were. But Greg Land, love
Yes,
the guy.
Greg
Like I
Land.
met him in Chicago. I don't with the brain injury. I just remember that he had a Green Bay Packers hat on. So I just like saying, "Go Pack, go!" him every time I saw him. And then when I actually met him, and I know he signed it. I have a few books signed. I forgot they existed till I was going through my boxes. I was like, I want this signed by Greg Land, and this one. I pulled out the issues and go, he signed. I met him. And I was like, yeah, I did. I didn't realize I got a signature with him, so I got super excited. So I was able to choose some other books. And I remember asking you, I was like, how many should I bring? I'm just gonna bring a couple. Like, we'll do this. And so he signed the books for free. And he even took a picture with me. And I didn't interview him just because he was really busy drawing.
Yeah, he
and
was
also,
working
if you
on
know
some
anything about
commission.
Greg Land, he is like pumping out. Like every other week, you'll see a book by Greg Land. Either he did a cover or interior art or some kind of book he's getting out there. And I asked him, I was like, how do you do it? How do you keep up with this schedule? And he just goes, this is what I do. It's what I breathe. I love it. I just can't stop.
And that's just what's so like inspiring and kind of lights a fire under my ass about things. It's like these creators, like, they're able to do what they love and, you know, pump out this work to people who enjoy it all the time. And yes, it can be draining. Yes, it can be stressful at times, but like, it's really awesome that these artists are able to do genuinely what they love and have an audience for it.
Like, I have an interview in my archives of, I want to say these people's names. These two creators, they did some indie books. I interviewed them. We were all drinking, and they just decided to tell me what they thought about fans, and they were just, and it really broke my heart because I was like, oh, they're just in it for the money. And then because I do this podcast, I know other creators, so I was asking them, and they're like, no, man, I love this. Like, this is where I live and breathe. And that's what I got from Greg Land. He's like, I love this. Like, I want to drive Spider-Gwen. I want to draw X-Men. I'm so glad that we met him. It was terrific. So, panels. They had a few panels we were able to go to. I thought it was going to be a lot more than it was, but it turned into a Rachel McFarlane panel.
Yeah. Well, panels this year were weird given the strike that they couldn't really talk about a lot of things or things. It's really dicey right now what they can and can't talk about. So I think a lot of them opted to just not do them or do like generic kind of panels or spotlights on people.
And what's weird is I say Rachel McFarlane, and you're just like, I don't think I know who she is. Who is she?
Oh,
but if I say
you
Seth
do.
MacFarlane, you go, oh, he's in Family Guy. He's the American Dad. Ted. You know, he does the
Orville.
The Orville. I was gonna say Odyssey. No. The Orville. Like, I know who Seth MacFarlane. He's great. His sister. She got the job because of her brother or something. But no, you find out that she has been voice acting longer than him or about the same time as him.
Yeah, and she got her start. She said she was working as a production assistant on Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network back in the day, and that was her first stab at being a voiceover artist.
This was like, okay, kid, here you go. We're gonna give you a shot. And I was playing a woman who worked at a SeaWorld type environment. And she was like, dolphins are the ocean's most intelligent creatures, as we'll demonstrate here by hooking Splashy up to this transmitting device. So, what's it like being a dolphin, Splashy? Like, why do I remember that? Seriously. It was a moment, right? And God, I must have practiced it a lot if it got burned into my brain like that. Yeah, but that was my first one on Johnny Bravo. Which, here's a little funny story. So Mae Whitman, I don't know if you guys know Mae Whitman. She played Little Susie on Johnny Bravo, where I started. And subsequently, she also played Annie Blight, who was my daughter on the Owl House. So it was sort of funny. Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that she was the voice of Mandy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Like, it blew me. Like, I didn't put two and two together. And so when she's talking and she did the voice.
And unfortunately, the character kept appearing again and again and again. And I hated doing the voice every single time. And every time it was 9 in the morning. And I learned such a lesson from that, which is to think really hard when I am auditioning for something, because I might get the part and it might continue and I might have to keep doing it. And so how did I get out of it? The show ended. I really enjoyed you as Mindy. Definitely. You did. Thank you. Thank you. Eris was fine. Mindy, oh God.
And I lost it. I was like, oh my goodness. And she was talking about all these shows she's been on. I was like, what is wrong with us? Why was she not like the star actress? Like, why is she like in the corner and not like she should have gotten a bigger panel thing in my mind.
Well, I mean, she essentially got a whole panel to herself.
But also what was cool was her dad was there.
Yes, her daddy. Also father to Seth, if that wasn't obvious. But it was really cute. He was sitting front center right in front of her. And, you know, she kept shouting him out. And it was just really sweet because he was clapping really hard for her. It was so cute. It was so precious. Like, he's clearly proud of all of his children. Like, it's really cool and adorable.
It was so cute. But yeah, we ran out of money this year, but I if she comes back, I would like to get like a photo op or something with her.
Yeah,
she was so much fun. Like I really enjoyed that panel, learning about voice acting and how it is now versus like when they used to do some of the older cartoons where they sat in a room.
Yeah, or even what they tried to do with her on the set of the Orville, which she talked about because she's the voice of the computer on the Orville, and she was just like, oh, let me tell you a quick story about that. How Seth had her come on set and basically had her crouched down so they couldn't see her in the shot, but she was still doing all the lines so that everybody else could like hear her. And after that, they never did it again because they were like, you could just go in the booth and record. It's fine. Like, it was just funny that, you know, well, and Seth's such a creative guy that he wants to just whatever he can do to get the best product like out there. He'll try all these different things, and some of them work and some of them don't. But the effort's there.
So I've only seen a couple of episodes of the Orville, and I think I need to jump into it after watching this because it was very Gene Roddenberry. He had his wife do the voice of the computer, and now. For the Orville, he had the voice of his sister do it. It's really kind of special. And I like that.
Yeah. And not only that, but like she was able to talk about how when she was recording voices for Family Guy that, you know, Seth would be in the booth for her in those early days and he'd be like, you know what this, you know, she said that, you know that Barbie record you used to listen to all the time? Make it sound like that they had their own language essentially when they were working together, which is super special and unique and was really fun to hear about, especially as a person with no siblings whatsoever. Like I wouldn't have known what it would be like to work with my siblings.
See,
so
and and that's what's different because I have that. Like when I am talking to my brother and sister, if I need help or when I was doing projects for school, when we record, I would say, oh, hey, do this or do that. And they knew exactly, like, I would say, like, oh, hey, remember this time? I want that.
Yeah.
And they know. Like, it's just so weird. Like, you don't understand. Like, we can basically not talk English to each other. And
still communicate just as well.
Yeah. Like, we can just do grunts at each other and, like, yeah, we got it. I go to my brother, like, yeah, you can in it, and he goes like, yeah, yeah,
and we'll know a whole ass conversation.
Yeah, if I wrote that down, we'd have a whole chapter in a book. I have game night with Tommy and our friends, and so me and Tom, I'll say stuff into the mic, and Tom's like, all right, got it, and everyone's like, what did you say? Like that's not words. And Tom's like, yeah, he said go over there. And I said no. He said, go to the thing that looked like the thing in the toy chest. How do you know what that is? Tom goes, that looks like the thing that was in our toy chest growing up. That's what we called it. The thing that was in the toy chest in the left-hand corner. It's just awkward that you don't... I guess I take it for granted, like this special relationship I have with my brother and sister, I guess. Yeah. So that was the end of the day. Right?
No, that was part one. The end of part one of the Saturday.
And then what do we do for the rest of the day?
It was Sean Gunn all day. All day, Sean Gunn. Sean Gunn.
I've never seen you happier. You want to talk about a smile on my face when I was meeting Ryan Ottley? Like,
Oh no,
smile.
you have seen me happier. It was when we met Scott Patterson. But
Okay, that's true. But, like, it's Kirk.
it's fucking Kirk. Also, I was really jealous. There was a guy walking around with a T-shirt that said "a film by Kirk," and I was like, God damn it! I wish I had brought that. I want it now. Like,
You want that? You want
I
that?
want that T-shirt now. But anyways, yeah. So we did. Yeah, I splurged and got a professional photo done with Sean. Also did autograph and selfie, which was great. Realized after the fact, totally forgot to tell him what my name was, so he just wrote out best wishes from him and Petal, which was the pig in the reunion special. But we were actually able to talk to Sean a little bit before his panel, because he did do a panel later in the day. But before that, we had a little one-on-one with him when we were getting the autograph and the selfie done, and we were talking to him about the strike, which was really cool to see. We told him that we had seen him on
The social
media because we had seen him on Phil DeFranco. He kind of took a clip of Sean on the picket line and kind of really went in depth about the residuals and what the Writers Guild and what SAG-AFTRA are striking for and why. My biggest fear was like some of these, because people can be assholes, as we found out through the con. I just didn't want anybody to throw shade or to any of these actors, because this is something very, very important that they are striking for, and that they are standing up to these major corporations like Netflix and Amazon, because they're just trying to cut out an entire field of acting essentially, and giving away, your likeness and your personhood. Like, it's just insane at this point what they're requiring for these contracts.
What Sean had said is and it's not even about us, the viewers. It's about the money that we watch on Netflix. That how many views, how many times we watched it, they get none of that. Why Netflix gets, or whoever controls Gilmore Girl, Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is raking in the dough from money based on... It's almost similar to me to the GameStop, for how games work at GameStop.
Okay.
Is when you buy a brand new game, the publisher gets part of it, the developer, like, there's a string of things when it comes to a new game. But when you buy a used game, GameStop's the only people get any of that profit. So it becomes this, and that's what it feels like, is, they get that once. So if they sold 100 copies of this game, then,
then it's just the
they
flat
never
rate.
get any of that money again. So if everyone sold that game, the GameStop then buys all those copies and sells it for $10 cheaper. They get none of that. GameStop gets all of it. So I understand. So it almost seems like it's the same situation to me.
Yeah, there's just a lot of lack of transparency between how they don't show any numbers about like who's actually watching all of this stuff and who's signing up for things and what everybody's specific. Like, they're being very secretive, and it's just so hard for them to prove their worth with a business model like that. So, anyways, we told Sean Gunn that we were with him. We did talk about what was going on with SAG-AFTRA and the writers' strike and the actors' strike, and that was really great. And actually went into it a lot more with the panel that went on like an hour or so later. He explained up front that, like, I'll tell you what I can and cannot comment on. But he spoke about a lot of different things, again, about the strike and how it affects. And somebody had a really great question of, like, what can we do because we want to support you? I thought was a really great question from that panel.
But still, I don't like the answer. I feel
I know.
like us saying, you go girl, is not the answer.
Right. And Sean brought up like the point that they are not they're not calling for a boycott. And I can't remember if I mentally added the yet, but it just kind of feels like there was like an unspoken yet hanging
it
around
felt like
there.
he said yet. Like, he goes, we haven't called for it yet. It's not. Yeah, he did say yet.
Okay.
He was like, he hadn't called for it yet. It's not something we want to do,
But I think it's coming, honestly.
So, and I know that we'll cancel the only thing that's really going to suck and what's different is we're only going to have Amazon Prime, because when you buy Amazon Prime, you get the video for free.
Right. And I'm not I get it. I'm not canceling Amazon at this point. Our cat needs things.
My cat
on a
needs
regular basis.
we need things like, and I get the discount with my disability.
Yes.
So I'm paying half of the price for Amazon anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems like Amazon will be the only streaming service we have, which is because I'll cancel everything.
Yeah.
Because
we've already canceled our Netflix.
Yeah, we've already canceled. I'm doing Peacock through Xbox. That's free for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I feel like it's time. I'm personally taking a strike, and like as soon as they call for it, I'm like gonna cancel Peacock. The only thing I'm subscribed to that I'm paying for right now is Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't mind going on strike with that for a while, because guess what? The shows will be there when I come back.
Exactly.
Like,
this is something too important to be like, oh, this doesn't affect us. Like, it truly does.
Or what if I decide, oh, this doesn't bother me, it's okay, and then our movies and TV shows are forever changed because of this.
Exactly. Like,
because we didn't take action. Now we got computer animated AI things that going, I like bed, jump up, down now, hi.
Yeah, or just even the fact that the rate that AI is just developing is just, it's scary what it's coming up with, and also just being able to copy an entire person's likeness in perpetuity is just some freaky shit that does not sit well with me.
Was there any fun questions asked at the panel that you were?
There was. One person asked a really interesting question.
Would you say it was the best question of the panel?
I would say it was one of the better questions of the panel. There was some that were, a lot of people just came up and gave some remarks of like, I love you in this show, and I know we can't talk about it, but I just need you to know I love you. You had an actual question, which was great.
We saw in New York, and I just had a question. We see a lot of actors now going into the comic world, like Paul Dano has done his Riddler comics. Have you ever thought about maybe jumping into that and telling a story like Weasel or Kraglin or something?
Ask me again about that the next time you see me at, because I may be working on something.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Question, and we got an answer, so it's kind of exclusive. So that was the end of the day. Sunday hits. Parking was even worse. I felt
oh my
like
God,
we
yes.
there was no handicap spots. It was all the way to the front. We had to make our own kind of spot so we could get the wheelchair out.
Yeah, for real.
We get inside. Kids are all over the place, and I get that. So I'm trying to be respectful, because Sundays are known as the kids' day.
Yeah.
But like, if a kid's gonna jump inside the wheelchair as I'm driving it, I don't want to run over him.
Yeah,
if he
'cause,
backs
like-
into me. So I told this guy, like, hey, watch out, please.
Yeah,
'Cause he
like
was-
I
yeah,
heard
but-
you say please.
Yeah, and the guy looks at me and says, "Well, lose weight, fatso," and then shoves me, and I fall on my foot, kind of, because I had to brace myself, or the thing was gonna fall over. And like, I was like, I have a broken foot, and he was
Yeah,
like,
I turned around and I said, "Excuse you, he has a broken foot," and he just goes, "Yeah, like being fat doesn't have anything to do with it," and I'm like, what a fucking asshole. And I said this out loud in front of everybody because he was being a fucking asshole.
So it kind of ruined my whole day of the
It
whole.
really, like, I'll be honest, like, I kind of just wanted to go home at that point.
Me too. I was kind of feeling. I was like, you know what? Let's just get out of here. Like, it's not worth the hassle in a wheelchair. Like, that's my general consensus. Do not go to Comic-Cons or Terrificon if you have a disability.
Yeah, because
You will not. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the hassle.
and
It's
not only
worth,
that, just some people have been super vocally judgmental about things, and that has not sat well with me.
Oh
at
yeah, I
all.
had this late. I hear everything with the injury. Like
Yeah, and that's
I-
what people don't realize. And
So
it's-
when you whisper underneath your breath, like this lady goes, "Oh, look at the fat guy in the wheelchair. There's another one." And then like she saw the foot. And she goes, "Oh no, he's not. He has something wrong with his foot."
yeah,
And I'm like, you know what? I could take on any of these people in a running. If my foot wasn't broke,
Yeah.
let's play a sport. I would beat you in any sport.
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm big, it's not fat. Like I have like, and it's the thing. Like I did the weight loss surgery, and the doctor's like, the only thing we can do, your body. This is your body's natural form. Like it does. Like the only option is like Ozempic.
which
She goes, your body is healthy at this weight. You can do everything. So it was just.
it was just rude, and it just really struck me and kind of obviously left a sour taste in my mouth because all I kept thinking about was, for us, this is temporary, but there are people here at the con who clearly are, this is like their scooters, their wheelchairs, their crutches are a part of their everyday lives. Like, they can't just get rid of it. And I can't believe that anybody at the con would have been just like, oh, you're causing an inconvenience to the rest of us. Like, fuck, like, fine. No wonder so many people just want to stay at home and not go out in the world anymore because we don't feel like we're allowed to exist in the world. But the other thing I do want to point out is, like, I've noticed that people of that, like, age range, like, solidly 40 to 55, let's say, we're the rudest at the con.
Yes.
Literally, all the younger people were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, didn't see you there. Like, yeah, no problem. I don't fucking care. I don't care how much you want to be there. Just don't be a miserable fuck because you're ruining somebody else's good time.
Yeah,
We
so-
all paid money to be here. Just, if you're going to be a miserable fuck, just stay the fuck home then.
So after we did the police report, I was like, what do you want to do? Like, and we really want to meet Dan Folger. We wore our shirts. I was like, well, let's do it. Let's meet him. So we waited in line, and Dan Fogler is by far one of the nicest guys in the world.
For real. What a nice guy.
So, like, last year, I love the movie Fanboys. I love Star Wars. I include Fanboys in my Star Wars watching thing because it's the prequel. If you watch the original, you watch Fanboys, and then you watch the prequels, it's the greatest time because it's about these group of nerds trying to watch the Force, the
Phantom Menace.
watch episode 1, The Phantom Menace, before their friend dies because his friend has cancer. And when I heard he was there, I was like so excited. But then the news of my sister, she got sick with cancer, and they did not give a very long time for her. And so, like, at that point, I didn't want to talk about it with Dan because it was just, the movie was too real.
It hit too close to home for you.
So and then this year he was going to appear, and I was like, you know what, I'll do a selfie with him, but I'm not going to, maybe I'll get a picture tonight, but I don't want to talk about Fanboys. Like, we'll talk about Balls of Fury. I'll just pretend. And then that Wednesday before the week before we left for Terrificon, my sister calls me, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. Because we usually text, like...
Yeah,
you
you
know,
guys aren't too big on phone calls between you two.
Yeah, we're texting people. Like, I like to text. Like, that's an easier way. Like, you can do things.
Yeah.
And she calls me, this got to be important. I'm scared to death because I knew her test was coming up.
Yep.
And she calls, and she goes, I have great news. It shrunk.
There's no sign of disease.
And I was just so happy. So when I saw Dan, I told him this, like, how happy I was I could talk to him about this movie because, my sister's okay for a while. I know it can come back, but for right now, I still have her. I can still go do things. Like, I really thought this was going to be, like, when she went to the doctors, it was going to be it.
Yeah.
and the fact we're blessed with more time is great.
Yeah.
So when I talked to Dan, he was just like, "This is great," and so he actually signed a thing for my sister. But Dan does like to partake, just like me, and he may have gotten a little bit high.
What do you mean? May have gotten a little bit high. That man was in outer space. I could tell.
So
Dan, we love you. We love you. We just knew you were having a time. I mean, he was late to his own signing. You know, because this guy is I'm just going to call them all assistants. His assistant at his table was like, oh, yeah, I'll be here at 12:30. You know, we're running, go by 12:30, 12:35. And I'm like, I don't have anything better to do. Like, I'm fine. We're fine.
We had
just
a
waiting.
terrible morning. Like, I'll wait for Dan. It'll get better. And
Yeah,
it did.
it
Because then
did.
he signed something for Katie. And then he spelled her name wrong. And I was trying to correct it, but he didn't understand, like, her name is K-D-E-E.
Yes.
And he was like, K-A-D. And I was like, no. But he was so high, he didn't understand. And I was like, no. So, like, Katie, if you're hearing this is why it's spelled like that. You just got a little high. That's all.
You just got a little
It's
high.
K-D.
K-D. I know.
That's how you have to read it.
Yes.
Because it's great.
Yeah, I also love that he was doing personalized photos from fanboys, but we picked one where he kind of drew over it himself when he made himself Wolverine.
Yeah, and Katie loves Wolverine, so I was like, this is dope.
We also got his graphic novel signed by him, so I remember him talking about it last year, so I'm really pumped to read it this year.
So next episode, we'll do Dan Fogler's new book. We'll do Sidekicked by Russell Brettholtz, and because we'll just talk about these con books because I'm excited. So that kind of turned the day around, and it was just trying to get through it. A couple of people I wanted to meet, like it in my previous relationship, it was very abusive, very awful. Like I didn't know that she was after me for my money, even though like everyone warned me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't see it. My brain broke. Maybe I don't know what happened. So she, we went for her honeymoon, and Stuart went for a honeymoon, and Stuart Ederman was doing a signing. Like he never comes out to signings, and he's Canadian, so getting his signature is like so tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the signature, and she bitched the whole entire way. She made the comic shop was kind of like in Chinatown in Toronto. So she kept on being afraid that we were going to be murdered. She was saying all this racist
Because she was
content.
racist as hell, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I didn't realize, like, until afterwards, like, how terrible. Like, I don't know. Blindness. I don't know what you want
The fact that she didn't want Ryan and Katie in your wedding pictures because your brother-in-law's Cambodian.
Yeah. That's a whole thing, too.
Yeah.
So every time I see this signature, it makes me upset and makes me think of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw that Wade Von Grawbadger was going to be there, and he was the inker of the book, and I was like, dude, this is dope. Like, this is how you make, like, I want to make a new memory because you love cons. Like, you embrace me, and you're like, let's do this. This is fun. Let's have fun at this thing. Like, it has been a complete difference. And so I wanted to celebrate this fact. So I met him and I told him this story. And so he signed the books. And I was telling him this story. And he goes, hang on a second. And then he gave us a sketch and goes, here's the new memories for you too.
Yeah.
So that way you can start like, and I just, because I know to get to you, I had to go through her because she changed me and like, certain things in my life had to happen the way they do for me to have met you.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other way for it except for this.
Exactly.
And would I do it all again? In the words of Alexander Hamilton, if it took a war for us to have met, it would have been worth it. And damn, was it a war.
Yeah.
So it was worth it to find you.
Oh, thanks, sweetie.
So meeting Wade and having him sign it, and then we took a picture with him because like I have a picture with her, but you can in the photo like Stuart Edelman's arm is like cut out of the photo, so he only has one arm. Because I kind of just like cut her out. I just airbrushed her because I was like, I want a picture with me and Stuart and his wife. Like that's fun, but I didn't want to have that. So having Wade sign that, and then I'll get Dan on it, and I just like then you can meet Dan Slott because you haven't met him yet.
I haven't met Dan Slott.
He is delightful. Yet. So,
not only that, but that print that he gave you for free, by the way, was, you realized later that it was actually Miles, and you are such a Miles Morales fan. It just seems so fitting.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the next stage of Ultimate Spider-Man. When Peter Parker died, Miles took over.
Yeah.
That was the new life. So, kind of rebirth into a Miles, I guess. I don't know. It's just... It was fun. And then Phil Hester, we saw him.
Yes.
Oh, and I met him so many times in Chicago. I love the man. He's great. You can talk to him about literally anything. Another man who does free signatures.
Yes.
Like, I love Phil Hester to death. He is great.
Yes.
So we talked about Gotham Year 1 that he was doing because Drew had me read that for the rundown. Mm-hmm. He was like, this is the book I want you to talk about. And I was like, I never even heard of this one. And so we were able to talk about that because that one talks about police brutality. It talks about like how the police treat people, really. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I don't know if this is our story to tell, but if we don't tell this story, no one will. And hopefully like someone else will like take over this story and be able to go from here. We're just setting the groundwork. Mm-hmm. He goes, there's so much more that we need to tell.
Yeah, but this was
to open up the door, to just get people recognizing that there's a problem. Mm-hmm. We had to do it this way. And I thought that explanation works so well because I think about, we were talking about earlier with Amanda Connors, when we talk about these opening up the doors for me. So like when I was reading Spider-Man comics written by men, mm-hmm. when Mary Jane was doing positive things, and I was like, okay, you go, girl. You I guess it's cool. Like, they were just introducing me to this, like, hey, there's other things why Amanda, then all of a sudden, you go into the deep pool with Amanda going, hey, let me tell you about the pink tax.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I'm like, what? So that was fun. Steve McNiven we met.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Steve McNiven. We don't have this clip. It's from season 1. It was when we were live on the radio. I was discussing my love for Nemesis. Mm-hmm. And then Hans called me a terrorist over the radio.
Yes, he did.
Of WNYO. And I thought we were going to get kicked off the air. Like, I was very nervous of what was going to transpire after that. Because I was like, I don't think you can call people terrorists over the radio. But the show kind of blew up from then. It just kind of spanned, and we just decided to have more fun. So if it wasn't for Steve McNiven, this show may not exist today. Because I was so excited to talk about Nemesis.
Yes.
And so me and Steve McNiven and it was, we didn't get an interview with him because he doesn't do interviews.
He doesn't like doing interviews, which is absolutely fine.
I don't know if it's just he's self-conscious that anything he says could ruin him. Like, because he was talking to us how he has a Marvel exclusive deal. Yeah. And why he didn't come back to Nemesis was due to licensing. Yes. When Mark Millar bought or sold all the rights to Netflix. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. Like, who knows, like, if he says the wrong thing from his own mouth. Right. Like, what if he says something too much? What if he says, like, oh, yeah, I don't know what he could say, but...
And that's actually kind of been a theme, is like, I kind of referred to them as the big N in the room, Netflix, because, with the writers and the actors strike right now, we didn't really think about how this is affecting, like, intellectual property, such as, like, the rights of a comic series that goes to a full show.
Well, and that's almost a whole different topic altogether. Yeah. Look at Secret Invasion. Did Brian Michael Bendis get any money from that? Did Lionel Wu get any money from that? Like, any of these creators of Civil War. Mm-hmm. Captain America Civil War, Steve McNiven should have gotten money from that because that was his artwork for it.
Yes.
But he got nothing because it was just based on his story.
Yes.
And since Marvel is owned by Disney,
It was okay for
and
them
they're
to
work for
borrow it.
hire. So it's just interesting that when you go from the comic world to the movie world, we don't translate. The only person I think who's ever been able to jump that is Jeff Johns, where he was doing comic books and then he started doing movies, and he kind of hops between the two of them. And then
Yes.
and then Jeff Loeb, he's done some television stuff, but that's more for producer end. He didn't have anything, like, I don't know if they do the Red Hulk story that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like, is Jeff Loeb gonna get any money from that? Is Ed McGuinness?
Yeah, I know he said something about how basically Mark had kind of packaged all his basically just like one money bag from it, a whole package deal sort of thing.
Yeah, and all future stuff too. So it's just, and it's weird that Netflix hasn't done anything with this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
they
almost
didn't because Wanted. You saw the movie.
Yes.
You haven't read the comic. The comic's completely different. So you can make their own Netflix version of that. And I think it's interesting that Netflix hasn't done anything.
Yeah, they've
with
just
this.
held on to these properties that for what? To do what? It seems more like it's to stop anyone else from doing anything with
Yeah,
them.
they know this movie's going to be big, so we want this movie to do big. I think of the Stuff of Legends by Mike Raich.
Right. Yeah, we talked about this weekend.
Yeah, he did a story that's very similar to Toy Story about toys that go save a boy who's been kidnapped by the boogeyman. And because it's so similar to Toy Story, when Mike Raich sold it, I wonder if they haven't made a movie, and it's been a while since he sold the rights.
Yeah.
Are they just shelving this because they're like, we don't want this to mess with Toy Story? Woody and Buzz are the only ones allowed.
Yeah, to me it seems absolutely that's what they did. Like they defensively killed this project so that it wouldn't compete with one of their own.
Yeah, and Stuff of Legends is amazing. If you haven't read this book, it's truly like the Shrek of comics. Like, it's dark and gritty, and you think like you're going in and going, oh, this is Toy Story, and it's totally something on its own, but it's beautiful, and I love it. But after that,
we met Tom King.
Oh, we did meet Tom King and talk to him for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yes, he was pretty delightful.
He was telling, because I was like, I'm glad for that wedding issue, because I
yeah, and then him being like, well, to be honest, I kind of wish I didn't do it. It was.
We met David Finch afterwards, because I got the Batman Rebirth signed.
Yes.
Because I was trying to figure out what to get for Tom King. There's so much to choose from, so I was like, I'll just do I want to do Batman in the wedding issue. Cause it's a couple of bucks for signatures, so
yeah,
you have to choose. And so I
It
didn't
adds
realize
up.
that David Finch was in it.
Yeah,
So I
he
was like,
there.
let me go talk to David Finch, because I love David Finch. Hans introduced me to his artwork because he loves David Finch, and so I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I started reading more of his, and I totally forgot I was in Batman, so I went to talk to him about it. He was like, this was one of my favorite projects. I love doing this Batman, because when Tom King came to me, he said, who would you like to draw? What would you like to draw? And he's like, I really want to do Batmobile scenes. I want to draw Bane. And he was like listing him characters, like, all right, cool, I'm going to make a story out of this.
Yeah, like he was kind of the puppeteer pulling the strings for what David Finch wanted to draw, which was awesome.
And it almost made me think of almost like a rapper, like doing a freestyle, and they're like, yo, hit me with a topic.
Yeah.
And because I can make any story. You want Batman fighting who? Who you want? I can make anything happen.
Yeah.
Challenge me, bitch.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Bring it. Yeah.
And so I loved it. Like, when hearing that, it makes me want to reread those Batman books over again.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, that's so cool that he was able to, like, he didn't write the story, but he put a little bit of input, like something. It's a little bit of his heart and soul into that book.
Yeah.
It's something like he sees Bane in there and he goes, hey, I made that happen. That's a little me. Like,
yeah.
You know, that's the coolest thing to me.
It is.
So
I agree.
Overall, what are your overall thoughts of Terrificon when you're thinking of it? Do you want to go again next year? Where are you sitting?
I would do Terrificon again, as long as you
I
don't have a broken foot. Yeah. I think that's the caveat to all cons at this point. Like, shout out to people who do have to deal with this on a daily basis, and this being their lives that they just have to deal with. Like, it's,
I wish there was some way we could help people like that.
Yeah.
Like we could bring awareness to this situation because I it's something I didn't think of in cons. I'd see people in wheelchairs and be like, oh, I got to get around them and I got to go here, and I would be jumping in front of wheelchairs because
yeah.
I know I'm big, but I'm a fucking fast guy. Like I'm very nimble.
Yes.
So getting around crowds is easy for me, and having the broken foot, it was just like, it slowed me down so much.
Painful, slow and painful. But
And
yeah,
so as long as I don't have a broken
as long as
foot,
you don't have a broken foot, like fine. I do think to go back what we said about Saturday, I guess just Saturday con, like, I feel like any day or any con that you go to on a Saturday is just going to be the worst day, period, full stop.
and with them not doing panels like they normally
Yeah.
do, it's almost worth it not to go on a Saturday. It's just
Yeah, because there was no thinning out of that crowd I guess the most was for the WWE wrestlers, but like
it was still crowded. It was
still crowded. There was a lot of people there still.
So yeah, unless there's a cap off next year, I almost want to just buy tickets for Friday and Sunday
And make Saturday just like a
We'll
free
go to
day.
the beach.
Yeah.
We'll go to the beach. We'll just chill.
Yeah,
We'll go to I don't know. We'll figure out. We can do literally anything. Like,
literally anything.
I would rather do anything than deal with that again. Like, because I thought last year Saturday was a lot of people.
It was a lot.
And this felt like double the amount of people.
Yes.
Like there was moments when nobody was moving. Like the fire marshal had to come in and
was
like stop people.
yeah. Which thank God they did, because then it was a hell of a lot easier to
Yeah,
navigate.
but it still was like.
They still had to get somebody to do that in the first place.
I agree. I love Terrificon, but I don't. Unless they fix their Saturday stuff, I'm not going on Saturdays again.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But for Friday, Sunday, definitely worth it. Was finally able to meet Sean Gunn, because the first year he had to cancel because I think he was doing some reshoots for the Suicide Squad for James. With Michael Rooker was there. I almost knocked over my popcorn. And then answered the question, is a hot dog a sandwich?
So a little con 101 for you. You can if don't buy the first thing you see. You gotta go through the con, see what you like, see what works in your pricing. So for me, I want to see signatures of famous people. Mm-hmm. How much signatures for comics, and then kind of a variety of like how much can I spend on anything else.
Yeah.
So I decided not to eat. I brought snacks with me.
Yep.
Like
Which was
granola
great.
bars. I brought some Pop-Tarts kind of thing.
Bottles of water.
So we didn't have to buy any. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. I'm not going to eat a hot dog. Because I remember last year I bought a hot dog and it was like...
Not the sanitariest.
Oh, yeah. And it was almost $10 just for a hot dog. And
Yeah, I
like-
bought 2 waters today. They were $12.
So we did that the whole convention. So we tried to pinch pennies so we could do
Yeah.
everything. So figure out what you want to do first. So I'm glad we did, because
Yep.
we would have done what walk through, because there was these amazing people. They had this witchcraft device that you could there was a belt you could put on. There was like this apron for your neck and back.
Yeah,
and
which I
you
really wish I
crinkle it.
had right now, because I am sore.
You crinkle it and it becomes hot, and it's like a therapeutic bag, and I don't understand how it works. And they offered you a really good deal, and I was like, well, let's think about it. Let's figure out what we want to do. And instead of buying that, you bought something I consider better.
I bought a lightsaber.
Yeah, you did. Amy is now the leader of a lightsaber.
It makes better sounds than I do, for sure. But
So make sure you like and follow us so you can watch those. Because we're going to put out some videos. We got to challenge Airsoft Fatty to a lightsaber duel
oh, absolutely.
now.
Now
That the guy's living in New York.
yes.
like,
We're not that far away.
we got to make that happen. Like I want to
We
fight.
can make it there
I
and
wanna
back in a
fight
one-day
Airsoft
trip.
Fatty in a lightsaber battle. That is, I think, my goal for the year.
All right, let's make it happen. Let's manifest it.
So, Chris, if you're listening, I challenge you to a duel. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh duel if you want. We can make it a double duel.
Double duel.
It's like Double Dare, but double duel.
My God, throw Beyblades in there.
Oh my God, that's it. We start out with a Yu-Gi-Oh duel.
Yep.
And then we start with a Beyblades duel. And then we end it with
the lightsaber duel.
a lightsaber duel. Like that is the trifecta right there.
Exactly.
And you get
Just do it all
points
at
based
once.
on how well you do. We'll do a ranking system. Maybe like, oh, you played a flawless victory with cards. You get an A. And like, oh, you could have like fused these cards together at any time. You get a B this round, man. You really messed up. Like we can rank it so that way it's not just based on who has the better deck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am making the rules. But I don't know. I just love Aerosoft Fatty, and I just want to challenge him in a duel.
Yep.
So, so that was Terrificon for this year.
In a nutshell, in a nutmeg shell.
Oh yeah, apparently they're called nutmeggers. We said that in the beginning of the episode, didn't we?
Maybe. Who remembers?
We are exhausted because we are recording this as soon as we got home from Terrificon. You took a nap, and then
I did.
we're like, let's do this while it's fresh in our minds.
Yes.
Because there was a lot. There's a lot.
There was a lot. So many steps. I'm so sore now.
So we'll leave you with that. We'll be back next week. We have Secret Invasion to finish up. We got comics we want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled nerd talk soon. But
So yeah, this is a little special treat. Every year you guys get a special Comic-Con from us about some con we go to.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll be more. We talked to the people at Twin Tiers Comic-Con.
Yes, which would be a much shorter drive for us.
That would be a nice drive. So that would be fun if we did that.
Yes.
With them. So yeah, just make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, and
If you like any of our videos, think about sharing them with somebody. We'd appreciate it.
And we will see you guys next week.
Con, everybody, con.